Hello yogis, and welcome to today's edition of Okaiyoga. We've had a few of our members of the Okaiyoga community ask us to present a video that breaks down some of the basic poses, foundational poses in our typical Hatha yoga practice. So that's what we'll be doing today, good refresher or a nice class for beginners. So today, let's start the class in child's pose, Balasana. In child's pose, our knees are separated, our big toes touch, and our heart starts to melt down towards the ground. Our hips are moving towards or even to our heels. Now, if that's not accessible to you, a blanket or a towel is a great prop we can use, placing that across our calves. Then start to sink our hips back. Melting our heart down, extend our arms out in front of us. And we'll take several deep breaths here. Maybe you can separate your knees just a little bit wider, the big toes are touching, the toes are pointing away from us. Softly seal your lips. And in our Hatha practice, we attempt to breathe in through the nose and exhale out of the nose. We'll be here for several breaths as you arrive in your practice today. I like to say the hardest part of class is over. You've made it to your mat. You've pressed play. Notice the quality of your breath as you inhale through the nose, exhale out the nose. Inhale completely, filling our lungs. Notice the belly start to fill up with air as the diaphragm fills. Exhale, draw the navel towards the spine. Maybe a 4-count inhale. And to start out, a 4-count exhale. Over time in the class, after the inhale, maybe we can slow down the exhale and extend it to a 5 or 6-count exhale. Creating calmness, creating warmth as you prepare yourself for your practice. We use our breath as a guide in our Hatha yoga class. The breath is always more important than any pose or shape. In child's pose, Balasana in Sanskrit, is always an accessible pose that's available for you if you notice your heart racing, the pose doesn't feel good. In yoga, it should always feel good. There should be no pain. Yoga means yoke or union. We're attempting to connect our breath to simple movements. And if that movement doesn't serve you, we get to work on our ego to back off and take a resting pose, even in the midst of a class. Wherever you are today is perfect. Through our yoga practice, we'll build strength, increase our flexibility, and over time improve our balance. A couple more deep breaths here. Maybe you'll notice by now your knees can separate even a little bit wider. This variation of child's pose is really opening up our hips. Let's move from child's pose into tabletop. In tabletop, our wrists are directly beneath our shoulders. Our knees are about hip distance apart. Toes can be tucked for better balance, or tops of the feet can be flat. This is another great time if your knees are sensitive. You may want to have a blanket or towel handy, and you can set up your tabletop with your knees on a blanket for extra padding. Again, let's get this set up. Our shoulders are above the wrist crease, fingers spread wide like starfish. Knees are hip distance apart, slightly back. I like to keep my toes tucked for extra balance. We'll move into a cat-cow pose. In cow pose, we start to curl our sits bones, our tailbone up towards the sky, the belly drops as it fills with air, our heart waves forward, our gaze is still down, so I'm not looking up, I'm looking down at the top of the mat so the back of my neck is relaxed. On the exhale, we're going to initiate the movement from our sits bones, curling the sits bones down, draw the navel towards the spine, emptying our lungs as our gaze moves from our thumbs down below our belly and back towards our knees, cat pose. We'll do 4 more rounds just like this, moving slow, connecting simple movements to our breaths. Inhale, curl the sits bone up, belly fills with air, the heart waves forward, the gaze is towards the top of the mat. We push down, draw the shoulders above the wrist crease if they move. Exhale, curl the sits bones down, the navel moves towards the spine, the gaze is at the thumbs, below the belly and back towards the knees. 2 more rounds here. Inhaling, filling the belly full with air, the heart waves forward. Exhale, back to cat pose, push the ground away. Final cow. Final cat. Let's come to a neutral tabletop. Gently rock our shoulders side to side. Warming up our wrists. From tabletop, inhale, push the ground away. Exhale, let's sink back down to child's pose. Separate the knees, big toes touch and the heart melts down. Again, maybe your glutes touch the heels. Maybe you're up here. Wherever you are today is perfect. Inhale forward, draw the shoulders over the fingertips and exhale back. You'll feel that little bit of pressure on our forearms, on our wrists. We'll inhale forward, exhale back, warming up our wrists for the practice ahead. Inhale forward, exhale back. 2 more times. Inhaling forward, exhaling back. Next time we inhale forward, stop with our shoulders directly above the wrist crease. Push the ground away. Take a deep inhale here. And on the exhale, look over your right shoulder and draw your right hip towards that right shoulder, a side stretch for our spine. Inhale back to center. Exhale, look over your left shoulder, draw your left hip towards your left shoulder. Inhale back to center, 2 more times each side. We rarely move our spine side to side as we move through our day. It's a great time to bring a little more attention to our spine, creating that suppleness that will carry through the whole day. Take a deep inhale here, push the ground away. Exhale, sink back to child's pose. This time, let's take a different variation of Balasana. Draw the knees together and start to sink the hips back down towards or maybe even to the heels. Draw the hands back behind us, the top of the hands on the mat. And curl our nose, look down at our knees, or maybe even tuck our chin to our chest. Pause here for several breaths. How does this child's pose feel to you? Does it feel different? In this variation of child's pose, it's opening up the shoulders, the top part of the spine instead of the hips. 3 more deep breaths here, breathing in through the nose. Exhaling out the nose. Whenever possible, the nose breathing is a grounding, centering breath. One of my teachers suggested having a small mouthful of water if you're having trouble struggling with getting comfortable with nose breathing. Another deep breath here. Then let's draw our hands forward, move into tabletop, tuck our toes, push up and back, downward facing dog. Adho Mukha Svanasana. And downward facing dog, Oh, I have my dog assistants. We're practicing outside today. It's beautiful to be outside in the air, natural light. In downward facing dogs, we're creating this triangle shape. The hips are up towards the sky, fingers spread wide like starfish, our hands are shoulder distance apart. Step our feet back. If our heels reach the ground, we're not getting all the benefits of a pose. We want to make downward facing dog a resting pose, so we step the balls of our feet back. Put a little bend in the knees, curl the sits bones up towards the sky, push into the hands a lot. Feel the base of our palm pushing into the mat, the fingertips gripping the mat. Attempt to melt our heart closer towards our knees, re-push into the hands, then draw the heels towards the ground. So we're pushing into the palms, the heels are pushing energy down towards the ground. You'll feel your calves kick in. Relax the head, so the head's hanging down. Gently nod our head yes. Gently shake our ears side to side no. Our gaze is between our ankles, or maybe now even up towards our knees. Notice how that relaxes the neck. Push into the hands again, maybe curl the sits bones even higher. And simply breathe. Take several breaths here, in through the nose. Exhale completely out the nose. Can you relax your head? We're not holding any tension in the back of the neck. If your arms are shaking, we can always lower the knees down, pausing back into child's pose. It's always there. Child's pose is calling your name in this and every sequence. If you can join me back in downward facing dog. Let's go through those alignment tips. Bend the knees, curl the sits bones up, push into the base of the palms. Draw the heels down towards the ground. Now think about the line between your knees and your groin on the inner thigh. Curl that, push that back behind you. Re-exert the base of the palms. Can you imagine you're drawing your thumbs closer to each other and the fingertips away? Notice how the hips just move up. We're opening up our shoulders. We're melting our heart towards the knees. Starting to tremble, starting to shake. We use our breath to calm us down. If you notice you're holding your breath, that's your breath as a gauge telling you to back off and take child's pose. Let's turn our gaze towards our thumb tips. Bend the knees and walk our hands back to our feet. We'll meet up in standing forward fold, Uttanasana in Sanskrit. In standing forward fold, if you have some blocks or books handy, you may want to use blocks. Standing forward fold, we're working at opening up the calves, the hamstrings, where the hamstrings connect to the glutes. We want our feet about shoulder distance apart. Place the hands on the ground. Many people say, I can't reach the ground. Well, if we bend our knees, you'll notice it gets a lot easier. But with our legs bent, we're not getting the full benefit of the pose, and that's why I like to recommend blocks. This pose is new to you. Float the hips up towards the sky. Attempt to straighten the legs as best as you can today. Nod your head yes. Move your ears side to side no. Noticing if the back of your neck is relaxed. The crown of your head is pointing towards the ground. We're pushing energy into the balls of the feet, the heels. The legs are straight, but the knees aren't locked. You can grasp each elbow, sway gently side to side. Maybe the fingertips reach the ground, maybe they don't. We reach the hands a little bit further in front of us, shifting the weight into the balls of the feet. It may get easier to straighten the legs, lifting the hips up towards the sky. Place the hands on the blocks. You could be on the low setting, the medium setting, or even the highest setting. This may allow you to straighten the legs a little bit more, feeling the work in the calves and the hamstrings. Can you melt your nose, melt your heart closer towards your thighs? Now the hands are resting on the blocks. They're not pushing on the blocks. There's difference. Notice the difference. Can they just be resting there for balance? We stayed in this pose for an hour. Stayed in this pose for 3 minutes, 5 minutes. You'd notice the openness as your body relaxes. You continue to breathe in through the nose, out through the nose. If you feel especially tight in a particular area, imagine you're directing the breath, the oxygen-rich blood, to that part of your body. Gently grasp the elbows, sway side to side. Spending a little more time in each pose this morning to really feel it. Release the hands down. Now, oftentimes in a Hatha class, we'll say halfway rise as we move into Ardha Uttanasana. So in Ardha Uttanasana, the hands can be on the ground, the hands can be on the blocks, or we can draw the hands up the shins as we attempt to flatten the back parallel to the ground, push into the balls of the feet so the legs are still moving towards straight without locking the knees. Our gaze is down, not forward. Notice if you look forward, you're putting pressure on the back of the neck. To elongate the spine, release the back of the neck, turn our gaze down towards the mat. The hands are resting gently on the shins or fingertips on the blocks, low, medium, or high setting. It's a great modification. Gaze is down. Now imagine we're drawing the crown of the head away from our glutes, our hips. Our shoulders tend to move towards the ears, so mindfully draw the shoulders away. So we're creating length in our spine, drawing the shoulders away, smiling once a while. Continue to breathe in through the nose, out through the nose. And lower back down to standing forward fold or Uttanasana. Now the crown of the head is pointing down. Inhale, halfway rise, turn our gaze towards the ground. The hands can reach for the blocks, stay on fingertips, or slide the palms up towards our knees, not placing them on the knees. We want to be right below the knees. Draw the hips away from the crown of the head. The nose is pointing down. The shoulders move away from the ears. Take a deep inhale here. Fill the lungs completely. Exhale, standing forward fold, Uttanasana. Gently sway side to side. The hands can be on the ground. The hands can be on the blocks. We'll halfway rise again. Standing forward fold, Uttanasana. Then we'll circle the hands up towards the sky, reaching the hands high, and exhale the hands to our heart center. We'll take Tadasana, or mountain pose, a key part of our sun salutations. In Tadasana, let's align this the first time we go through it. Feet are hip distance apart. That's right below our hips, not wider. Let's all lift up all 10 toes. Feel 2 points on the balls of the feet. Imagine 2 points on the heels. This is our foundation in Tadasana. Lower the toes down. Let's put a bend in the knees and notice our shins just shifted forward. Draw the navel towards the spine, the tailbone down. Imagine that inner line of our thighs is moving back behind us. Turn our palms to open towards the front of our mat. Roll the shoulders up, draw them back. Lift your chin up. Draw the back of your head back so your ears just move closer over your shoulder. Smile. Continue that beautiful Ujjayi, victorious breath in through the nose, out of the nose. All of a sudden holding on to all these alignment cues while we're just standing still makes us a very active Tadasana or mountain pose. Inhale, reach the hands up towards the sky, and exhale the hands to the heart and release. Shake out our legs, Let's take mountain pose, Tadasana again. Lift up all 10 toes. Feel the strong foundation. Lower the toes, bend the knees slightly, shins move forward, tailbone down, navel towards the spine. Inner thighs move back behind us. It's an intention, it's the direction, not the distance that we're moving. Open the palms towards the front, lift the shoulders up the back, chin parallel to the ground, draw the ears back, smile. Now here, lift the crown of the head, push into the balls of the feet without losing all this activation in the pose. Each of you just got taller, great job. Breathing in through the nose, out through the nose, that slightly audible breath, constriction at the back of the throat. Many people say it's as if we're fogging up a mirror, that sound. You should be able to hear this breath as it rolls in through your nose, into your lungs, and travels out of your lungs, out of your nose. Beautiful mountain poses, yogis. Thank you for joining me today. Now we have all the basics. We can move into Sun Salutation A, Surya Namaskar A, part of many flow classes, many Hatha classes. I'm going to turn sideways. We're going to inhale, reach the hands up towards the sky, fingertips spread wide. Inhale, reach higher. On the exhale, we'll put a bend at the knees, pivot at the hips, standing forward fold. Uttanasana, we were just there. Inhale, halfway rise, draw our palms up towards our knees. Crown of the head moves away from the hips, the ears move away from the shoulders. Exhale, standing forward fold, back to Uttanasana. We're going to carefully, slowly place the hands on the ground and step back to plank. Kumbhakasana, top of a push-up. In plank, you push the ground away so the arms are long and strong. The heels are moving back. The navel's moving towards the spine. The tailbone's drawing down. If this is too much for you today, you can always place your knees down. Again, we want you to be comfortable. We want to feel effort, but we don't want to feel pain. So from our knees or in plank, we're going to exhale, lower down to the chaturanga or bottom of a push-up. We're going to go all the way to the ground. The elbows bend back towards the back of the mat. Draw the elbows so they scrape our rib cage until we reach the ground. Fingertips behind us. Continue to breathe in through the nose, out through the nose. Now lift up your right foot, draw the right big toe back behind us and place the top of the right foot down. Lift up the left foot, draw the left toes back behind us and place the top of the left foot down. Our hands are probably right below our shoulders. Let's draw them back a little further down our rib cage. So the wrists are almost or right under our elbows. Push into the tops of the feet. So the knees come up. Engage our hips, pushing them into the mat. Now drag the base of the palm back behind you, and you'll notice your chest lift up for a baby cobra. Exhale, lower down. In yoga, let's pause here for a minute, crossing our arms as the dogs go nuts around us. I let them out here on purpose because we're practicing remaining calm in challenging situations, one of the biggest aspects of yoga. We practice our measure of calmness is our breath. The challenging situations on the mat can be the pose or the sequence itself. It can be how your body's feeling that day. We practice this on the mat in a safe environment, so when distractions hit us off the mat, we go back to our tool, our gauge, our breath, whether we're driving, walking, interacting with others. Our breath is a tool that's always accessible that we can use to calm ourselves down and manage our reactions to the world around us. Let's come back to Cobra, the wrists below our elbows. Push into the tops of the feet, the knees float up. Draw your tailbone down or push your hips into the mat. The back of the head's relaxed. So we're still looking down or slightly in front of us, and we draw the base of the palms back. The heart lifts up. Inhale, Bhujangasana, Cobra. Exhale, lower the nose back down. Tuck the toes, push into the hands, up and back, downward facing dog. We've been here before. We'll be here for 3 deep breaths. Adjust the stance so the heels aren't flat on the ground. Spread the fingers wide like starfish. Draw your shoulders apart. Push into the base of the palms, bend the knees, curl the sits bones up towards the sky. Reactivate the hands, the arms are long and strong, and the heels are floating down towards the ground. The inner thighs are moving back behind us, creating that lift, that beautiful space in our long spine. Our heart is melting towards the knees. Oh wow, are their shoulders getting a little more open? Put a bend in the knees, turn our gaze towards the thumbs and walk our feet up towards our hands, coming up on the fingertips, standing forward fold. Again, the hands can be on blocks, lightly. The hands can be on the ground, or just about reaching the ground. Now can we draw our hips up so the legs are a little bit straighter? Maybe walk the fingertips out in front of us to create more length there. Can we move our heart closer towards our knees or our thighs? Inhale, halfway rise. Exhale, standing forward folded. Inhale, let's circle our hands up towards the sky, and exhale our hands to our heart. Releasing the hands, we'll do another sun salutation A. Great way to start our practice. Create some movement in our body. Simple vinyasa is to place ourselves in a specific way. Inhale, circle the hands up towards the sky. Exhale with a bend in the knees, pivot at the hips, standing forward fold, reach down towards the ground, the legs are strong and long. Inhale, halfway rise. Exhale, reach the hands down to the ground, step back to your version of plank, Kumbhakasana. Inhale, push the ground away. Exhale, Chaturanga Dandasana. The shoulders move in front of the fingertips as we bend the elbows, lowering down all the way to the belly. Place the tops of the feet firmly into the mat so the knees float up. Push our hips into the mat. Draw the elbows towards our spine. Drag the base of the palm back so the heart lifts up. The chin is, or the nose is looking down. Bhujangasana, still baby cobra. Exhale, lower the forehead down. Tuck the toes. Push up through plank and back. Downward facing dog. Pausing here for 3 deep breaths. You can always take a break if your arms are shaking. Coming down to your knees, sinking back to your variation of child's pose is always an option. It's your choice, yogis. Turn our gaze towards our thumb tips. Put a bend in the knees and start to walk our feet towards our hands, standing forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, standing forward fold. Inhale, circle the hands up towards the sky. Exhale our hands to our heart and release. Let's do that again. Inhale, circle the hands up towards the sky. Exhale, standing forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plank, top of a push-up. Inhale, push the ground away. Draw the shoulders in front of the fingertips, lower down, slow. Cobra, drag the base of the palms back, the elbows move towards the spine, the tops of the feet are pushing down. Maybe a little bit deeper cobra this time. Lower down, tuck the toes, up and back, downward facing dog, 3 breaths here. Turn our gaze towards our thumbs. Walk our feet forward, standing forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, halfway lift. Ardha Uttanasana, standing forward fold. Circle the hands up towards the sky. And exhale our hands to our heart. In every one of our Okaiyoga Hatha flow classes or Hatha classes, we incorporate a number of sun salutations into the class and use the sun salutations as a means to get into a variety of poses that we'll explore in other introductory classes. Now let's move on to a balanced pose. Traditional balanced pose is tree pose, Virksasana. In tree pose, we're going to first stand on the right leg. Put the right leg forward, shift the weight into the right leg. There's many variations for beginning, intermediate, and advanced trees in our forest. So if this is new to you, you can keep the ball of the left foot on the ground and step the left heel above the right ankle. We never want to push into joints, ankles, knees. If you're near a wall, you can actually place one hand on the wall for extra balance. Through time, we improve our strength, our flexibility, and balance. Another variation in tree pose is to slide the bottom of the left foot onto the side of the left shin or calf. Palms come to touch in front of the heart. The thumbs are pushing into the sternum's holding on to the thumbs. A more advanced variation on the pose is to push down very strong into the right leg, the standing leg, and with a little bit of help, or not, we slide the base of the left foot into the inside edge of the right thigh. The foot pushes into the thighs, and the thigh pushes into the foot. The left side of the left knee is drawing back, the back of the right shoulder is drawing back, the tailbone's moving down. We can use our thumbs into the sternum. Now, if you're in a class with a bunch of wobbly trees, that tends to make us fall. One of the benefits of a home practice, not as crowded, but maybe you look down at the ground and find a spot, something that's not moving. This becomes our dristi, our point of focus. By having the stationary item to stare at, to focus on, it allows us to find more ease in the pose. We're pushing down on the right foot, the left foot's pushing into the thigh or into the side of the shin. Or maybe we're on the ball of the left foot and the heels securely connected to the shin, side of the shin right above the right ankle. Push down into the right foot and notice how that brings our right hip in. We don't want to be a bent tree yet. We want to be very straight and strong. Wherever you are in your tree, to come out of it, like to inhale, lifting the knee up first, then lowering the leg down, then shaking out the standing leg. Great job, yogis. Let's take tree pose on the opposite side. The left foot comes forward, we shift the weight into the left foot, super strong, yet not locked standing leg. 3 variations. Beginning tree would be the ball of the right foot on the ground near the left ankle, the heel right above the left ankle. Push into the left foot. Notice how the hip moves in towards our center. Palms come to touch in front of our heart. Our tailbone moves down, the outside of the right knee. The right side of the right knee moves back. Maybe we slide the foot up. Maybe we place a finger or hand on the wall. Breathing in through the nose, out through the nose. Pushing down, super strong, yet not locked standing leg. Draw the tailbone down. Focus on that dristi. Don't let the beautiful breeze tip you over. Be a strong yet flexible tree that can move in the wind. Raise that right knee up, lower the right leg down, and shake out the left leg, shake out the right leg. Great job, yogis. Let's place our feet a little bit wider than hip distance, point the toes out 45 degrees. Bring our hands to our heart, take a deep inhale here. And on the exhale, we'll bend the knees and start to lower down into yogi squat, malasana, called for in many classes. For some people with tight hips, tight shins, tight ankles, there's a tendency the first time we do this pose in the beginning that the heels are lifted. Not a problem, find the pose that's accessible to you. But one way to help the pose is take 1 or 2 blocks. And maybe we can lower down and sit on the blocks to start to create the muscle memory for the pose. The feet are pointed out 45 degrees. The palms are touching, but there's activation here. They're pushing into each other. The triceps are pushing into the thighs as the inner thighs are pushing into the triceps. We're lifting our heart up. The crown of the head floats up. Our neck is long. Our spine is long. We're breathing in through the nose, out through the nose. Maybe this is a way we can get our heels to the ground. If they are on the ground, we push into the heels, lift our heart up. And to truly activate the pose, you just lift your hips 1/8 of an inch off the block. There you feel it. Draw the tailbone down, lift the heart up. Totally different pose than what it was 10 seconds ago. And lower it when you need to. Release the hand, shake out the arms, shake out the legs. If it is accessible to you over time, we exhale, lower down. Vilasana yogi squat. You could just be hanging out in the pose here, or you can truly activate the pose. Push the hands together, triceps push into the inner thighs squeezing back. Push into the heels, float the chest up, lift the hips slightly, truly activate the pose. We're shaking, we're trembling, we're breathing, we're trying to manage our breath in this challenging situation, and maybe even smile. Great job, yogis. Let's release it slowly, slowly. We're close to the ground. Come down onto our backs. And we'll take bridge pose. We've done a lot of forward folds, halfway rise, downward facing dog. So now let's do a back bend. Bridge pose, Setu Bandhasana. And bridge pose. Come down gently to our back. Our feet are flat on the ground. We walk our heels in towards our butt until our middle finger can gently push or touch the back of the heel. This is the first time you've done this pose, or it's new to you. Maybe we grasp the outer edge of the mat with our hands. We push into the heels, push gently into the balls of the feet as well, but more weight on the heels, and the hips will float up. Stretching the mat underneath us, maybe it gives us a little strength to push the heels just slightly deeper, and notice the hips float up even more. Push into the back of the head, gently into the squishy mat, so the chin moves away from the chest. Now imagine you're drawing your heels. They're pushing down, but they're drawing towards your glutes. And guess what happened? Your hips just floated up a little bit more. Beautiful job, yogis. Feel that activation in your glutes. Great job. Continue to breathe in through the nose, out through the nose. In these challenging moments is when we tend to hold our breath or hyperventilate. We don't want to do that. If we do, we back out of the pose and return to our breath. Now, wherever we are, let's slowly lower down. Imagine we're moving so slow that the middle of the back, then the lower back, then the glutes touch the ground. Let the knees drop in together. Notice that relaxation. We relax the lumbar spine. Take 3 deep breaths here. And now let's separate the knees. If you'd like to take the pose a little bit different with the arms, you can do that now. The knees are separated. We push into the heels. The hips are floating up. Now maybe we slide our hands underneath the glutes, interlace the fingers, tuck the pinky finger within the palms, and maybe we even walk the arms slightly underneath our back, pausing to catch our breath. Reactivate the pose, push into the heels, push the forearms or the triceps down. Notice the hips just raise up. Drag the heels without moving the legs. Isometrically drag the heels towards our knuckles. Our chest just got closer to the chin, so push the back of the head gently into the squishy mat and continue to breathe. We're pushing into our heels, dragging the heels towards the knuckles, pushing into the triceps, and gently nudging the back of the head in the squishy mat. Take another deep inhale here. And on the exhale, release the hands, walk the triceps out, lower down from the top of the back to the middle of the back to the lower back. So the top of the glutes touch the ground. Oh, feels so good. Nice release. Great job, yogis. Draw both knees in towards our chest and give yourself a little hug. Great job. Rock the hips side to side gently. This is Apanasana. Be the chest pose. Find stillness. Maybe we place our hands on our thighs and gently rock and roll the length of our spine until we find our feet back on the ground and take a comfortable seat. Or you know what, let's extend the legs out long. Long in front of us, toes pointing up towards the sky, maybe even draw them towards the knees. We'll inhale, reach the hands up towards the sky. Let's exhale, just pause here. Inhale because we can reach even higher, feel the glutes activate. And exhale, reach the fingertips away from us, up and away. Then start to lower down. Let the hands fall where they may. Maybe you touch your toes, maybe your shins, maybe your thighs. Once you find stillness, tuck your chin towards your chest. And take 3 deep breaths here in a seated forward fold. Paschimottanasana. Maybe reach back and grab one glute and lift it up and back behind us. Grab the other glute, lift it up and back behind us. Inhale, reach the hands up towards the sky. Exhale, reach the hands up and then forward, forward, forward. Then lower down. Tuck your chin towards your chest. Relax the arms and breathe. Another great pose you can take if you're watching TV, sitting on the floor with your dogs. The more time we spend in the poses, the more your expression in this pose will change. The pose will reveal itself to you as you build your strength, your flexibility, your balance. Slowly roll ourselves up, vertebrae by vertebrae. Let's bring the bottoms of the feet to touch in front of us. Maybe the heels are close towards the waist. Maybe they're a little bit further away, creating more of a diamond shape. That's fine. Push into the sits bones so the spine gets long and tall. Exhale, reach for the feet, interlace the fingers around the toes. Maybe we draw our elbows in front of the shins, maybe on top of the shins. Inhale the back of the head towards the sky, then exhale, melt over yourselves. Your gaze is down at your heels or your shins or the mat between your legs. Butterfly pose. Round angle pose. Three more deep breaths here. And we like to finish out every sequence with a twist. So we're going to walk our shoulders up, extend our legs long. Hips in line with our shoulders. Let's all bend the right leg so the right foot is flat onto the mat, underneath the knee. Push into the right foot, lift up the hips, slide them over towards the right side. Then let the right knee fall over the left leg. It doesn't have to touch the ground. Maybe it will, but if your right knee touches the ground, I bet your right shoulder just came up off the mat. So if that's the case, let's roll back our hips until our right shoulder is connected to the mat. Extend the arms out like airplane wings. Turn our gaze, turn our neck towards our right hand, our right thumb. Maybe you take the left hand and gently place it on the outer side of the right thigh. You're not pulling it down, just the added weight of your hand helps to open the twist. If there's any effort, maybe the effort is, notice if we attempt to draw the right hip towards the right knee, could feel really good. Creating a little more space between our hips, our side body, our rib cage. Release the left hand, the left arm goes out long, rolling back onto our hips. The right foot pushes into the mat, squaring the hips with the shoulders. Bend the left leg, extend the right leg long, rock and roll the right heel. Push into the left foot so the hips lift up, the boots lift up, and slide them over towards the left side of the mat. Draw the left knee first up towards our chin and let it fall across the right leg. Turn our gaze towards our left thumb. Place the palm of the right hand on the outside of the left thigh. Maybe that weight is just enough, or maybe we have the intention of drawing the left hip towards the left knee. See if that feels good where the hips connect to our side body. And take 3 deep breaths here. Ready, slowly unwind, extend the right arm out long, roll back onto our hips, onto our glutes, push into the left foot, square the glutes, square the hips with the shoulders, extend both legs long, take one more knee to nose, chest, or knee to chest pose, draw the knees in, give yourself a little hug, you deserve it, great job yogis for sticking with the class today. Lift up the back of your head so your nose does get closer, maybe even to the knees. Take a deep inhale here. And on the exhale, extend our arms long, legs long. The hands are down by our hips. The palms are open up towards the sky as the sign that you're willing to share what you know with others, as well as learn from others. Two-way communication. Rock and roll the heels side to side. Take a deep inhale in through the nose. Let's open our mouth and sigh it out. Another deep, deep inhale in through the nose. Open our mouth, sigh it out. Wiggle your jaw side to side. Softly close your lips. Take the tip of the tongue and push it to the roof of your mouth right behind your top 2 teeth. Give it a little push and let the tongue relax. Wiggle your nose. With your eyes softly closed, flutter your eyelids without opening your eyes. Furrow and unfurrow your brow. Just like in bridge pose, push the back of your head gently into the squishy mat so your chin floats up, releasing the back of the neck. Maybe even walking the shoulder blades slightly closer to each other feels really good. Notice all the parts of your body connected to the ground, to the earth, to the mat below you. Most important pose in any sequence is Shavasana, corpse pose. You've done all of the work. This is where your body accrues the benefits of your yoga practice. As we learn to sink, as we learn to let go, as we relax in your Shavasana. We'll be here for 3 minutes, and I will guide you out. Slowly, slowly, let's start to deepen our breath. Bring some movement to our fingers, movement to our toes. Gently roll our wrists and ankles. In a deep inhale, extend our hands beyond our head onto the ground behind us. Point our toes, feel as tall, as long, and supple as you've ever felt. Bend both legs so both feet are flat on the mat underneath our knees. And let's roll over onto our right side using our right bicep as a pillow. Pausing for 3 deep breaths here. Place our left hand flat on the ground in front of our belly. Softly close our eyes, tuck our chin to our chest, and push ourselves up and find a comfortable seat facing the front of your mat. When you're there, bring your palms to touch in front of your heart. Inhale up with pride for what you've already accomplished today. Lift the crown of the head up towards the sky. And exhale humbly, tuck our chin towards our chest, close our eyes. Imagine that bright light, that heat, that warmth, that energy that's bouncing through your heart, through your soul, around your body, this heat, this warmth, you created. Yoga doesn't create the light. Yoga just helps us through this simple movement and breath practice, helps that light shine a little bit brighter. The goal is to share that light with yourself, share that light with family and friends, and ultimately let's share that light with complete strangers in the world around us. We'll seal our practice with one Om, the first sound, the first vibration, the vibration that connects us to all living things. Inhale deeply. Blinking your eyes open. Namaste. Thank you, yogis. Thank you, assistants. It's great that you've practiced with us today. Please subscribe to our Okaiyoga YouTube channel for updates when we post new classes. If there's anything you'd like to see specifically in a sequence or spend more time on in a practice, feel free to comment and let us know. Hope you've enjoyed this little bit deeper dive into some of the basics, some of the foundational poses that we use in our Hatha practice. And I hope this will enable you to extend your practice into some of the other more challenging practices, both on our channels and around in the world around us. Thanks again. Namaste.